Glad to have you back, and if you're just joining us, well, this is Plus Politics, and today's focus, we are looking at the World Press Freedom Day and to what extent journalists are expect to push the boundary. And still in our Lagos studio, we have Soji Ogenere Boruwe in the house. Thank you very much for still staying behind. But now, there have been some calls on the Nigerian authorities that they should investigate, bring to the fore and make accountable those who were responsible for the detention, harassment and assault of some journalists. I'm making reference to our elections, March 9 gubernatorial and state assembly elections. Some said they were forced to announce results under duress. Some officials were forced to announce results under duress. We had that, and we also had some journalists also coming under the line, abused, so to say.
Yes, it did happen. Like we said, well, there's no gainsaying the fact that the government we have today is not what we want. It's not the best of government we want to have, that allow this impunity to take place. But we must continue to speak on the matter, to bring it to fore. Either they carry out investigations or they...
But is this call overreaching? Because we've seen elections come and go. We've seen abuse of officials of the electoral umpire. We've seen journalists being abused, and nothing is necessarily being done. So a call on the Nigerian authorities is just...
We must continue to do that. It's not...
wouldn't you say?
We must continue to make the call until we get a response to it. The call must be made persistent, consistently. We must continue to make that call, ring it into your head that what happened was not acceptable. It's an aberration. There should be freedom of expression, freedom of the press, and as you can see anyway, in even the electoral officers that were harassed, even the security personnel that were even harassed, nothing has been done about them. It shows that the system has been taken over by these anomalies, that when these things happen, they don't seem to make any sense to us. The morality of it on the part of the government is very weak. That security government officials were harassed, INEC, the media, and nothing is being done. There's a total shutdown of the system.
Do you think anything will be done?
I don't.
Given our track record,
we might be. It will seem a helpless situation right now. I don't want to be hopeless. So we might be helpless right now that nothing is being done, but we're going to be hopeful that if it's not done today, it will be done tomorrow. If it's not by this government, it might be by another government.
Let's talk about the welfare of journalists now. These are also just as well, like every other Nigerian worker, but some have said if the judiciary, some quarters have reported that if the judiciary is corruptible, then journalists alike, who are supposed to be the voice for the voiceless, are also corruptible. Some people have raised situations whereby they feel that the reportage is not necessarily fair or balanced and they have been compromised. Now, I'm talking about journalists here being used as puppets under the hands of politicians. To what extent do you expect a level of engagement and practice from the Nigerian journalists saying no to the brown envelope?
We're not expecting that journalism will be peopled by angels. We're not expecting that they will not have interest or represent interest. We also want to believe too that the era of the brown envelope, like you stated, is gradually becoming a thing of the past. A time come, people will stand up and speak to the truth and speak the truth, and no matter the pressure or an influence, whether economic or life-threatening or family, people will do that. So sometimes I don't seem to countenance the fact of the brown envelope with relationship with the journalism. No, it happens. It's a microcosm of the macro system. And like a lecturer said in a seminar I attended, he said, our system should not be fighting corruption. We should be preventing corruption. So if other things, the welfare of journalists is well taken care of, if the organizations that are the employers and the media organizations are well funded, and the editorial views are not whimsical and slanted to please the media owners, I think journalists will be able to operate in a very fair environment.
And initially when we started off, we raised the issue of how important a free press is to the growth of peace, justice, and sustainable development, as well as human rights. Now, to what extent do you expect us to have checks put in place, infrastructure put in place, so that we can deliver on this mandate, ensuring that we checkmate the other arms of government, talking about the executive, legislature, and the judiciary? It's unfortunate that the fourth estate of the realm is being treated like a persona non grata in this system, the legislature, by the arms of government. Until when they see the media as a partner in governance for peace and progress, it becomes very, very daunting. I raise this issue because we've seen instances where we've had reports which are expected to show what the exact situation of things are, the reality, the truth. And then we've also seen government as well being firm on its own stance and saying that contrary to the reports in the media, this is the situation on ground. So there are two conflicting situations. It's almost like government is not necessarily paying any listening ear to all of these reports, which is the voice of the people.
The media must continue to do their work. The media must report what they see. As it is, journalism is to distribute information and news. If the government gives something contrary and you have your own, both sides are reported. It's left for the people to make their judgments. But if you want to take the government to task, like I said, which will be very difficult, to take the government to task that you must do this, no. Report the information, put it in the public space. When they said that the sword is the pen is mightier than the sword, it's not that the pen will go and put down the government. The pen is going to create information, distribute information to the people who will now make their own assessment and judgments and act. So it's not that the media would, if they want to do that, it becomes a very difficult task.
Do you think it's this situation that has also fueled this idea of sensationalism or the practice of yellow journalism? It's
everything that's happening in the system. The economy is the way it is, and the media is not a charity organization. If I got your question right.
The practice of sensationalism,
yes.
Maybe you have to make it bigger than it is, catch their attention,
so that you can
have a reaction.
So that you can sell. No, so that you can sell and make money. If it's just to have reaction, then it will be more effective. So if you have an information and you put it out there in the public space, the people react to it, they know where it came from. But if you talked about sensationalism, if you asked me, what comes to mind first is that you want to break the news, you want to be the one to sell and make more impact. But if it is primarily to inform the people and inform them properly, that is going to be a very far-reaching, it will give you a far-reaching outcome. So that's in that stead, sensationalism will be very useful, informing the people of the news and information that they are not aware of. So But I think in my opinion, the media thinks that they can, while they are a check to power, they check. How do you do that check? Is by disseminating the information that you
Factual.
think, facts, as you say, to the people. They have the media has responsibility to the government, to the governed and the governed. So where is the balance? Who has the power to deal with the matters? Who should know? The government or the people? So the people must be made aware of such information and left to their own judgment and actions.
So what's also your word to young budding journalists as well now in terms of training, going through the rudiments, be well equipped with the ethics and different codes that guide the practice?
It's, you said if you want to build a nation,
Training and retraining can never be overemphasized.
Yes, education is very key. So if you continue with these experiences, they continue to increase and enrich the curriculum of the training of for journalists, it will take us to the point we want to be in terms of the education competence of the media organizations and the journalists, because if you are competent enough to know what to do, you're going to make more. So we expect that if the journalists are better trained, like we have said here, and continued retraining, they become more aware of new ways of doing these things, and with the advent of technology, it makes it easier to even source and disseminate information. I think it will not be too much as for the training and retraining of journalists, but we know in our environment, they are very expensive. And that is why some of the global organizations, the journalists are offered such opportunities to continue to enhance and hone their journalism skills. I think it cannot be too much in doing that.
And in the next 4 years, we already have a governor-elect, we have governors-elect, we have senators-elect, we have a president-elect, and May 29 things are going to take a new turn. What's also your expectation of the media to ensure that all of these actors are put on their toes and the reportage is richer in terms of ensuring that Nigeria develops? Because we've always said Nigeria has the potential to develop, but it isn't developing. What do you expect now the next 4 years from the Nigerian journalists?
I think the press right now should be reaching out to these people, because we said what is not measured does not get done. And if you are going to measure, then there must be a target set. So these people today who are coming to governance, the elects, the waiting in the wings, maybe if we went to them and got their words and said, you're going to be in the government in the next few weeks, what are your plans? What's your agenda? It is based on that. If they at this point in time, I think it will be easier to get it from them. If you got it, and when they are in government, it becomes a check against a benchmarking what they said they will do, apart from their campaign during elections. But now that they have won, we think that they should have a think tank preparing for it. So if you got that information too, and 6 months down the line, and it says, when you were coming in, you said in 6 months, in 1 year, you're going to do this. You have this, how far you have gone, or this what you have not done. It becomes a reminder. Sometimes it also helps. That is where the developmental part of it comes in. Because if you're able to push that, facilitate that, remind these people in governance, we're sure to get some measure of progress, albeit marginal.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Soje Ogenere-Boruwe, and the discussion has definitely been quite insightful. We have to have a free press to be able to make sure that we deliver on the dividend of democracy, hold government accountable, and we ourselves in our dispensation have to be professional, you would say, isn't it?
Yes, competence.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you. This is it at Plus Politics. When we come back after the short break, we'll bring you some Plus packages on today's event. It's now time to bring you my take. Across the world, freedom of the press is atrophying. As we mark World Press Freedom Day, it is an occasion once again to consider the indispensable role journalists play in a democratic society. Most definitely, it is also a call to the hundreds of journalists around the world who are in prison cells or have been attacked, injured or murdered for the crime of reporting. Definitely, attention has to be drawn to that. But from the brutal assassination of the Post contributing columnist Jamal Khashoggi to Myanmar, where 2 Reuters reporters, Wallon and Kyo were sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for their reporting on the genocide perpetrated against the Rohingya people. Look at Delegua's story, for example. It's been more than 3 decades, 30 years, since he was assassinated, yet the incident remains a mystery till this very day. Other stories of Joan Tabiri as well as Samuel Ogundipe still hold sad memories. A free press definitely is not a luxury that can wait for better times. Rather, it is part of the very process which can bring about better times. It is strongly correlated with the public's right of access to knowledge and information. Many thanks for watching tonight's edition of Off the Press. I'm David Alabi, and a happy Press Freedom Day.